everyone, this is Dragon Lover 95 here with Hannah, and we're going to be doing a reaction video.
Yeah.
Care to say what we're reacting to?
Basically, Ida's Luck from Katy Towell.
I haven't really seen this YouTuber in a while.
Yeah. She's really good at anime stuff. You'll love this.
Well, care to give a heads up?
Basically, this is a horror animated short. There's a lot more, like basically 8 to 7 minutes long, so we're going to watch all of them in one video.
Okay. Oh!
Hello, Mother.
And this was over 10 years ago.
Yep.
Jeez.
Hello, Ida.
I'd like to tell you a story, but I suppose you've already heard the one about Ida, or haven't you? She was only the saddest.
This is only part
little
1.
girl who ever lived.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me you've never heard? Well,
have you ever heard of Ida?
That is the story.
Not really. This is the first.
Well, you're about to be seeing the story.
In the town of Katy Towell, in the midst of a terrible storm. She simply appeared one day. She was small and pale and shivering, and standing all alone on a corner.
And black eyes.
The paper around her neck said her name was Ida. Ida wouldn't say anything at all. Oh, how frightened she looked, but oh, how brave she tried to look, until the kindly Mrs. P stopped and inquired as to the whereabouts of her parents. Then Ida cried, and cried, and cried.
Aww.
Well, Mrs. P determined right then and there to bring Ida home with her. She'd read about this sort of thing in her Women's Digest. After all, it was surely the right thing to do. It's only until her parents turn up, Mrs. P said to Mr. P.
Aww.
Oh.
Well, I couldn't have just left her there. Something awful could have happened to her because I didn't stop, and it would have been very bad luck for us, Henry. I can tell you that. All right, dear, said Mr. P to Mrs. P. Just until her parents turn up. But Ida's parents did not turn up. Mrs. P did not mind, and to tell the truth,
Aww.
Mr. P. Ida was quiet and well behaved. She went to bed when told, kept her toys in order, and tried her very best to help with the household chores.
Aww.
In return, she had a home
I like how
and
it's like a...
and seemingly not a fear in the world.
I swear, this is like... It feels like a
Except,
classic
perhaps,
cartoon.
For the neighbour's terrier, Petey, who made it quite clear that he wished to bite her ankles.
Oh.
The first sign of trouble came late one afternoon, announced by angry pounding upon the front door. It was Mrs. Pheasant, the P's next-door neighbour.
Where
is she? She screeched. Where is the little devil?
What?
She claimed that someone, only moments before, had savagely wounded the family dog. I know it was Ida. I know it was because I looked out of the window the moment I heard Petey, and that girl was in my yard. He's broken his leg, you know, and I'll expect you to pay for his care.
What?
The P's were bewildered, of course. But Mrs. Pheasant was known to exaggerate.
Yeah.
I was too frightened of Petey to cause him such harm. But
Yeah.
Petey recovered and Mrs. Pheasant never bothered the P's again. The incident was soon forgotten. The real trouble was much stranger and only beginning. There was the morning in the garden with a horde of black snakes.
Whoa.
The Sunday at St. Parsley's, when the baptistry turned to oil. The great bat found in Catterwall Park.
Bat!
And every time something truly bizarre happened, Ida was nearby. It made the more superstitious folk simply buzz with gossip. That little orphan girl of yours is bad luck, some said. The P's would merely shrug and walk on their way, but even Mrs. P could not deny she sometimes wondered about the quiet little girl. And then, tragedy struck. Ida began to wander at night. She never made it very far before someone found her, but she continued to try. One night, Mrs. P decided to follow her. Maybe she's trying to find her mother and father. What if they're alive somewhere?
I don't think that would be a problem, Mrs. P.
Well, she
Yeah.
secretly hoped the little girl would always live with her, peculiarities aside. So she quietly followed at a distance. Ida wandered and wandered, down the street, through Catterwall Park, past Lake Coriander, beyond the cemetery, between the two school buildings, and all the way to Farmer Clover's field, where she stopped at last before a weathered old barn.
A barn?
Then she did the most peculiar thing. Lifting her tiny arms into the air, she began to sing. What was this about? Mrs. P had never heard Ida sing before. She hadn't even heard the child speak. Mrs. P was so surprised that she nearly forgot they were all the way on the other side of town. Who knew what mischief lay beyond those barn doors at that hour, she thought. Better they return home at once. Careful not to frighten Ida, Mrs. P reached out to take her hand, and then... When Farmer Clover rose for his early morning work, he was startled to find an odd little girl sitting on the grass before his barn. Beside her lay Gladys P. She used to buy eggs from him, didn't she? He thought. But now she lay quite still, barely breathing.
Don't worry,
her
she's
face
still alive,
frozen
just
in
paralyzed
terror.
in fear.
Mrs. P was alive, but she would never speak again. Distraught with grief and very much afraid, Mr. P sent Ida away. That day, Ida cried almost as hard as when she'd first been found, all alone on a corner.
Oh boy.
Are you ready for part 2?
Yep. Okay. Don't make a sound. Of what?
You'll find out.
Everything
Aww.
went wrong after that. Ida's new home with the Reverend and Mrs. Carraway was comfortable, but it was no protection against the growing superstition outside. It didn't help that it rained all the time in slippery black drops that clung to everything. It was not a bit helpful that all of Catterwall's children were having nightmares about ugly black creatures and pale little girls with dark eyes. It was certainly no help that everyone knew what happened to Mrs. P. And still, Ida would not say a word. The time came when the pressure of it all was too great for the Reverend Carraway and his wife, so they decided to take Ida to an orphanage just outside of town. They left in the night, but their efforts were in vain. Before they'd even made it across town, a crowd of angry people, led by Earl Ham, the timber yard manager, blocked their path. What's the meaning of this? Asked the Reverend. Constable Corning, are you mixed up in this too? That little girl is bad luck, said a woman in the crowd. That little girl is the cause of everything gone wrong in this town, spat Earl Ham. Mabel Plum over there lost her whole shop in a fire because of that little girl. That little girl was there when old Ernie's roof fell in. And that little girl is the reason my boy's got to have crutches. She ain't just bad luck, Reverend. She's evil. The crowd roared in agreement. Earl Ham rolled up his sleeves. You're a God-fearing man, Reverend, he said. Don't try to stop us. And he didn't. Not even when Ida was plucked from the car and carried away by the crowd. They took Ida to the shore of Lake Coriander. There they cheered as Earl Ham wound her up in chains. Chains weighed down by heavy horseshoes. For luck, He sneered, and everyone cheered. But Earl Ham was about to do something horrible. Until that moment, no one quite realised just how horrible he intended to be, and no one, not even Earl Ham, knew what would happen once he did. If only he'd known what brought Ida to their town in the first place.
Ida, darling, wake up.
Huh?
Do you remember the monsters that Daddy told us about?
But Earl
That's her
Ham
mother.
did not know, nor did he know of the ancient evil that gathered even now beneath his very feet.
Do you remember what we practiced? Oh no, dear, shh, we mustn't cry. We must think of love and happiness and all the wonderful things that make us strong so we can fight them. Let's sing a happy song, shall we? Which one shall we sing then?
Aww.
Earl Ham did not know that this evil had travelled the world for thousands of years,
What?
sometimes gobbling up entire cities, leaving no one to warn of it.
Keep singing, darling. I'm just going to put this around your neck in case anything bad happens. There's nothing worse than not having a name. Oh God, not now. They don't know what they're doing.
He did not know of the silent hunters who chased the evil through time, fighting it with their mysterious magic. He couldn't have known, for they swore themselves and their descendants to secrecy. But had he? He might also have known that the hunters were usually only strong enough to stop the evil just in time, before its destruction could get any worse.
Oh boy.
This often left them in unfortunate positions that their code of secrecy did not allow them to explain. Their greatest enemies were the very people they protected.
Oh.
Witch.
Ida, don't make a sound. Just keep running.
Earl Ham did not know that Ida was the last of her kind. "Back to the devil with you!" he jeered, and he shoved Ida into the dark water.
Oh.
He laughed in his triumph, but no one joined him. The once angry mob was now an uncomfortable lot of people who wondered if they'd just participated in something rather awful.
No kidding.
Before anyone could think of what to do about this, a terrible thing began to happen.
And now...
Hundreds of terrible things, in fact.
You screwed up,
Carrying out their
man.
evil, now
Yeah.
that Ida could not stop them. Catterwall was surely doomed.
The various monsters.
They're nightmares.
Yeah. This is nightmare inducing, alright.
Meanwhile, deep below the surface of Lake Coriander, a little magic was stirring. As Ida struggled to escape, she thought not of her sorrow, but of the love she'd once felt. She thought of her mother's words. She thought of Mrs. P and Mr. P and their sunny garden. She even thought of Petey, and how he'd wagged his tail when Ida saved him from certain death. Oh no, she would not let the terrible things harm Mr. and Mrs. P any more. Oh no, she would not let them hurt Petey again, no matter how he tried to bite her ankles. The terrible things had done enough damage, she decided, and it was time they learned their lesson. With these thoughts, Ida's magic became so powerful that the chain snapped into pieces.
Whoa!
And she shot from the water like a cannon, landing upon the shore with a thump. The terrible things could not be destroyed. But Ida knew, because her mother told her, that if she sang her favourite song as loudly as she could drive them back to the horrible depths.
We're about to hear Ida's voice.
Huh. They're going away.
Yeah.
It worked.
Not much was left once the danger was gone. The few who lived pretended it had all been a very bad storm. They didn't speak of what they did that night. Most left town and never returned. Catterwall became an empty skeleton of a town, and was eventually paved over for several successful factories and a shopping centre with world-famous bargains. As for Ida, no one knew what became of her, but I believe she lives and travels the world to this very day, hunting all the terrible things and preparing for the day they rise again.
Ah,
So what do you think?
that was interesting.
So are you ready to watch about Genevieve?
Oh boy. I slightly remember this one.
Just wait a moment.
Alright, everyone. That was our first short story. Now we're going to be looking into another.
Called When Genevieve Ruled the World.
Huh. Not many villains attended, but
Yeah.
not many villains tried.
And the terrifying scene is done by a 3-year-old.
Ah.
I'm sorry to tell you, but your history books are incorrect. They are all missing a very important chapter. Or perhaps historians didn't wish to upset anyone. It is true nonetheless that the world was once ruled with the iron fist of a 3.5-year-old girl. Let us go back, if you have a moment, back to the time before Genevieve ruled the world.
Oh, it's like a poem.
Yeah. There's Genevieve.
What's with the army music?
You'll find out later.
Genevieve von Geer had the sort of life that most children can only make believe. She lived in a grand mansion with a long winding drive at the front and a hedge maze in the back. She had her very own playroom, in addition to her own dressing room, drawing room and ballroom.
Oh,
There
wow.
was not a toy Genevieve wanted that she did not possess, or if it could not be bought, she had a personal team of toy makers
What?
to create it for her.
Scientists.
Genevieve was not a spoiled
Toy
child.
makers.
No, she was privileged and entitled, she thought, for she never fussed, never fought, never spoke out of turn, and always stayed out of the grown-ups' way. Other children were not so well behaved as Genevieve, and didn't they get motor cars for their birthdays too?
Wow.
The trouble started on a Thursday.
Uh-oh.
Genevieve's mother always went shopping on Thursdays, and always brought home something new for Genevieve. But not this Thursday,
I'm sorry, darling.
said her mother upon return.
I looked everywhere, but there was not a new toy to be found. I'm afraid you have everything in the world. Maybe there will be more toys next year,
Genevieve was stunned. Next year? Next year? Why, she would be 4 by then. No, this would never do. There must be something she did not have. She went to her toy maker.
Little bratty much?
Yeah.
They were not
Good
supposed
God.
to say no to Genevieve, but what else could they possibly tell her when they were completely out of ideas?
A talking doll.
Suggested one. Genevieve shook her head.
A talking bear.
Said another.
That dances.
Genevieve shook her head again. She had 11 talking dancing bears, including one that sang bingo in 8 different languages.
Wow.
Said a third. The others murmured in approval.
Yeah.
Genevieve scowled.
Uh-oh.
No. Was there nothing to be done? The toy makers wrung their hands.
Uh-oh.
Please accept our apologies, Miss Von Geer.
Said one.
But what can we create for you when you have everything in the world? Perhaps if you could find something you like,
Said another with a hopeful smile.
we could make it better.
The others nodded in agreement, but Genevieve
Shaking
was
a
not
bit.
appeased. Without another word, she
Uh.
stormed back to her playroom and fumed. Cheer up, Jeanie, said her Nanny Ann. There's more to life than toys. When I was a child, we only got presents twice a year. Sometimes
That's true.
they were even second-hand. Genevieve pouted. How could she say such a thing? If Nanny Ann had ever been a child, she would surely know that a world without new toys was... Just then, an idea began to form in Genevieve's
Uh-oh.
mind. A
Oh.
world without new toys, she thought. That's it! And faster than you could say Jack Sprat, she was off to her drawing room to begin the plans. She would need help carrying them out, of course. Genevieve was very bright for her age, but not so very tall. Then there was a small matter of mother and father. They were awfully slow about these things. No, she would have to take matters into her own tiny hands, and mother and father would have to stay out of the way for once.
Oh boy.
Genevieve drew long into the night, even sneaking out of bed when she was certain Nanny Ann had gone to sleep. She drew until at last her eyelids betrayed her, and she drifted
Aww.
into sleep, still clutching her favorite
Okay.
crayon.
Can't believe that all this happened
In
when
the morning,
because
a bleary-eyed
of a
little
little
had
girl.
gone to see the toy makers with her plans.
Yeah.
When they saw Genevieve's
Crazy, huh?
toys, they gasped, they guffawed, they griped about numbers, but they did exactly as she asked. They were not supposed to say no to Genevieve.
You
Wow.
could say no.
2 seasons passed
But
before she saw her
apparently
plans
they
take shape.
apparently
But
not this.
at last, the time had come. To Genevieve's delight, the Toymaker's warehouse reopened to reveal
Wow.
thousands upon thousands of toys. Big ones, small ones, talking dolls and dancing bears, squadrons of every kind of toy imaginable. Not that Genevieve did not already own one of each, of course. These, however, were very much improved. For Genevieve had decided that if the world had nothing new for her, she would have the world itself, and she would get it with the help of her very own army.
Wow.
Now, you may laugh at Genevieve's idea. Little girls can be terrifying in their own small way, but a threat to the world as we know it? The idea is laughable.
Hey, Dr. Eggman,
Which, my friends,
you
is precisely why
literally got
it is
lucked
so
out.
wrong.
Yeah.
She took over Germany with teddy bears. America she
was-
conquered with a
Oh.
collection of pop-up books. Russia proved particularly challenging, but she won in the end with an invention she called the Tinkerman.
Wow.
Wow.
One by one, every country, state, and territory fell to Genevieve and her army of toys, and it happened in only 4 days.
4
The
days.
world belonged to Genevieve now, and it was hers to do with as she pleased. If Genevieve wanted every playground on Earth to be coated in candy, it was done as Genevieve commanded.
That
If
wouldn't
she
be so
wanted
bad.
Each person
Yeah.
in the world to sing her name to the tune of Oh Susanna, each person, great and small, did as she demanded. How did she feel now that she owned the very biggest toy of all? A little tired. As Genevieve sat upon her custom gingerbread throne, her little head began to feel heavy and her eyes began to close. She suddenly missed Nanny Ann and Mother and Father too. Perhaps, she told herself as she faded into dreamland, she would send the Tinkerman to find them in the morning.
Okay.
But when morning came, Genevieve was gone.
She's gone.
Some suggested foul play, but who could have done such a thing to a small child, even a very naughty one? Others thought perhaps she'd gotten bored with the world and might have gone home to her parents. The truth was that no one knew what happened to the 3.5-year-old tyrant, but nobody wanted to find her. You may be skeptical of this history. Those who lived it will tell you, a little too quickly, that it never happened. But I assure you, it happened exactly as I have told you. If you don't believe me, just ask yourself why. Why did your grandparents spoil you with toys and sweetmeats as they did? Was it only out of affection? Or was it also, perhaps, just the teensiest bit out of the fear that their own little prince or princess just might be the Genevieve of our time?
Oh
Hello,
gosh.
Genevieve. All right, so the next one would be the little girl who was forgotten.
That was actually the first one I've actually seen.
Shall we do that?
Yeah. All right, everyone. We are going to be watching The Little Girl Who Was Forgotten. All you need to know is that Danny basically watched this.
Yeah.
This is a classic, I tell you.
Yeah. Also, the next few episodes we'll be watching will be about the Grim Reaper,
Oh.
Death, and Elsie.
Oh boy. Whoa, a ruined
Once upon
town.
a time, there was a little girl. No, that isn't right. You see, it wasn't just any time, and this wasn't just any little girl. This story is about Emmeline, and it all happened a long time ago in a town that doesn't exist. At least, not anymore. Emmeline was 3, the only child of a curator and a soprano. She had everything a child could want, but there was one problem.
Oh.
Emmeline had been forgotten by absolutely everyone.
Oh.
Can you
Mum
imagine?
and Daddy were always preoccupied with the business of the
Yeah.
Can you imagine being alone all the time and no one has noticed you?
day. Even the postman,
Yeah.
who brought letters that often made Daddy frown, never brought
It happened once for me. It wasn't very happy.
books, no bedtime stories, only a growing mountain of cold, lifeless toys
Aww.
who could not scare away closet monsters or admire her drawings,
Aww.
or more importantly, love
Poor
her back.
thing.
Emmeline tried her best to be a good little girl.
Aww.
She tried very hard to be a not-so-good little girl.
Oh.
Either way, no one was paying attention. There was nothing she could do. One night, Emmeline peeked out of her bedroom window and saw a beautiful star.
I like the music they use.
It twinkled
Yeah.
and glowed so brilliantly.
Aww.
Emmeline wondered if it was even a star at all, and not an angel who was up past his bedtime. She remembered a rhyme about such stars and how they could grant wishes.
Ah.
And if anybody had a wish...
Oh yeah,
it was
that's
Emmeline.
poem.
Emmeline closed
Well, it
her
makes
eyes and
sense.
Yeah.
wished with all her might. She wished for a friend who could play with her and help her reach tall things, and protect her from the creatures in the shadows and never, ever, ever leave.
Aw.
Stars don't grant wishes for everyone, mind you, but few children have ever wished for anything so dearly as little Emmeline. Please,
Just get so lucky,
please.
right?
Yeah.
And at the exact stroke of midnight, or perhaps a few seconds before, depending upon the clock, Emmeline's
Oh.
wish came true.
It's a little demon.
Oh, he was a delightful friend. They drew pretty pictures together and made up stories. They even had tea parties and built pillow forts.
Aww.
Emmeline named him Mr. Creasel. Because
Mr.
it
Mr.
sounded
Creasel.
Creasel.
and he was her special secret.
Well, she was 3 years old.
Mr. Creasel was great fun for a while,
Oh.
but after a
Oh.
time, it seemed there was something missing. He was certainly the best friend she'd ever had, but only because she'd wanted him to be. He did everything she asked, but nothing more.
Oh.
He couldn't even love her on his own.
Aw.
This thought made Emmeline very sad. Then came the sound of cheering from the parlour.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
The news. Oh, isn't it wonderful, Emmeline? Said one of the maids, who never usually said anything to her. Your mother is going to have a baby. You'll have a baby sister one day.
Uh-oh.
With that,
That's not a good thing to say to a girl who was forgotten.
Yeah.
Emmeline turned to Mr. Creasel, who, after considering the proper response, chose to frown. No, this was not wonderful.
Uh-oh.
Not at all. This
Oh.
was the final
Oh,
straw.
turning red.
And Emmeline would not stand for it.
Oh, she's tearing
With
up.
her fists clenched at her sides, and her face scarlet with rage, she opened her mouth and screamed. How dare they replace her with a new child? How dare they love another little girl? Emmeline
Yeah.
screamed and screamed and couldn't stop screaming.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Screamed Mr. Creasel absorbed
Oh.
and began to grow. The more Emmeline screamed, the bigger and uglier he became, until he
Ah!
filled the entire house.
Nightmare
With a
feel much?
terrifying roar,
Yeah!
Mr. Creasel carried out the revenge Emmeline wanted more than ever. Crack!
It's
went
not
the
like
rest of
this
the
little
house,
girl really mean for
and
this to
everyone
happen.
inside it.
Well,
Crash!
because everyone had forgotten her, so it makes
The
sense.
children never
Yeah.
got to play with Emmeline.
Ah.
On Mr. Creasel stormed, tearing to pieces everyone.
You know what? I bet this could be
Everything
Riala's
whatever thing
nightmare
he created.
form, you know? Like when he
The
gets
ice cream
really
truck that never
angry.
stopped for her. The Reverend
He's been in different
who
forms
chuckled at her
before.
prayers. And
But
the
this
boat,
one might be his
all
ultimate
met a
form,
swift and terrible demise.
right?
You think?
Just as Mr.
Probably.
Creasel was running out of things to crush and smash, Emmeline at last
Oh.
stopped screaming.
Oh,
Exhausted and heartbroken,
poor her.
she
Poor
sat upon what
thing.
was left of her
I
bedroom
know.
floor.
I feel so
Why?
bad for her.
I
Oh,
know.
why hadn't anyone loved her?
Just want to give this little girl a
Did Mommy
hug.
and Daddy want a new
I
daughter?
know.
Emmeline would have done anything. Anything. For a simple hug. A kiss
Oh,
on the forehead. Even a
Seriously,
good
this gives me
scolding.
the Alice Madness Returns vibe.
I
But
know.
everyone was gone. Who would love her now? Lighting up the night sky was the very
Only one
start
last thing to
of a
do,
light
huh?
wished not
Yeah.
so very long ago.
She wished
With
to
a heavy heart,
disappear.
Emmeline looked upon it and made one more request. She closed her eyes and wished with all her might. And at the exact stroke of midnight, or perhaps a few seconds before, Emmeline's wish came true.
Oh,
Like a ghostly light,
look at them.
she
They're
began
gone.
to fade, till there
They
was
disappeared.
nothing left. Neither she nor Mr. Creasel were ever seen again.
Like they never existed.
Sometimes, on a dark night, when the stars are bright, if you're very still and very quiet, you can almost hear a tiny voice. Please, please, whispers the wind, forever echoing the one wish of a little girl who was forgotten by absolutely everyone.
The end.
Yeah.
This story makes me so sad.
I know.
Anyways, shall we do the one with the Death and Elise?
Yeah, just let me find it first. Alright, this is another video I haven't seen, so yeah, let's see.
This is Death and Elise.
2012.
Yeah. This was basically 7 years ago.
Death went walking through the woods one chilly autumn evening. It had been a long day. Sickness ravaged this part of the world, and no man, woman or child remained untouched by it. It was a child Death made his way to collect now. A little
Aww.
girl by the name of Elsie Pippet. Death found the girl sitting alone in a pile of fallen leaves, humming and whispering happy nonsense. Anticipating surprise and terrified tears, he approached her carefully. But there was none of that from little Elsie. She simply turned her pale face to him and smiled.
Oh.
Then she pulled a bright red leaf from her pile and held it out.
Oh.
Huh?
It was only a leaf.
It's a bright
just a
red
dried
leaf
up
she wanted to
crunchy
give
thing
to
from the
Death.
dirt. But
That's...
the kindness with which the child offered it to him was so innocent and genuine that it
Oh.
broke Death's heart to think of what he was there to do.
Oh.
Until now, he had not been aware that he even possessed a heart. Thank you, Death said quietly.
Yeah, basically
He took
Death
the
is a
leaf inside his
skeleton.
cloak, where it
Yeah.
promptly dissolved
Yeah,
into
I had that
nothingness.
vision.
Where are your parents, child?
Oh.
Death asked the girl, for he occasionally, when time allowed, gave the little ones a final moment with their families. Elsie furrowed her brow. was all she said,
Aw.
but it was enough to tell the Reaper
She was an
the girl was
orphan.
too young to articulate. Oh, yes.
This
Beth said
animation
reflectively.
definitely has upped.
I had forgotten. Elsie blinked up at him and smiled helplessly. Then she coughed, an awful rattling cough,
Aw.
and Death remembered that he had work to do.
She
Yeah.
coughed
Got
up
all
blood.
thoughts out of his mind, lifted his great scythe over his head, and found he couldn't. He just couldn't. Not like
Aw.
this.
Wow.
Perhaps I'm getting old, he thought.
You're a
He
skeleton,
sighed
man.
and knelt down beside
No,
the girl.
he's like all this time itself when
Would
it
you
comes
like
to
be
death.
my helper? Death asked her.
Well,
Elsie thought for a moment.
this is
and
like the
then
equivalent
nodded.
of what if Demiurge did
Right.
this.
Said
I
Death,
know.
rising to his feet.
And that guy's supposed to be
But first,
sadistic.
you have to close your eyes.
Aw.
This next part Death did not like so much. But the long list was not to be altered, this he knew. When the job was done, he strapped the blade on his back again, and held out a bony hand into which slipped a very tiny
Aww.
ghostly one. Do you like elephants? Death asked his new companion as they walked.
That's a random thing to ask.
Next we go to the circus. I'm
Uh,
afraid someone has had a very bad day.
Oh yeah,
Elephant sad?
Death is
I
gonna
expect
reap
so,
a
little miss.
circus elephant.
Not much longer. It was only for a little while, Death told himself. He would take her across the divide soon enough. But his business was the loneliest sort, and it was nice to have a friend just this once.
Aw.
Surely no one would fault him for that.
Yeah.
Oh.
See what I said about a circus?
Oh. Oof. Yep.
Shall we get to the next part?
Oh, yep. Huh? Is the moon giving off vibes?
Basically, it's a moonlight.
Oh. Owl.
Death, Elsie and the circus elephant wandered
Aw.
in tranquility, each silent in their own thoughts. There was no sound of crunching leaves as they walked, for the
Of course,
travellers
they're
were but
spirits.
in the autumn night. The littlest one was displeased with something. It
Aw.
showed in her tiny face, which was presently scrunched up in perplexion. "What's on your mind?" Death asked Elsie. Barkus the elephant made an idle hump with his trunk. "Why'd they do that?" asked Elsie. "Why did who do what?" Death returned. He was thinking of the next name on his list, and whether it should be saved for later. He was not certain he could be kind to this one, and little girls should not see such things. Neither, for that matter, should elephants.
A
He
murderer.
laughed impatiently and pointed to the deep scars and scabs from years of shackles
Oh.
on his ankles. These would fade as the creature forgot them, and indeed, they were a little less severe than had been just moments ago.
Aw.
"Ah," said Death in understanding. "In answer to that, I can only say that the circus men are merely people, little miss. And people do not yet understand the feelings of other creatures. Most of them don't, anyway."
He is a wise
Elsie frowned.
one after all.
Why he not getting
Yeah,
worse?
he has been longer than any other humans.
Yeah.
Oh.
Different animation. Jeez.
He tried.
Everyone do not do animal cruelty in
They
circus.
continued their journey
Yeah.
in silence for a time until a very low
And I've definitely
creaky
seen
voice
the circus
interrupted the
accidents.
quietude. It said,
I heard
"I
of them.
think I was very
Oh,
fond
oh
of
God, talking
peanuts
elephant.
once."
Well, since he's a spirit, he can now talk.
"Yes, I believe you were,"
All
Death
right.
replied. Barkus humphed his trunk again. "I do not think that I can tell you how delighted I would be if I was to have a peanut now."
I
Oh.
like peanuts.
"Peanuts," Elsie quietly agreed.
You like peanuts?
They're
Then
fine.
I'm happy to tell you, said Death with a smile, that where we are going, you can have all the peanuts you wish, and you may have
Aww.
them forever and forever, if you like. Barkus the elephant and Elsie the child were both very pleased, and Death was pleased for them. But in his heart, whatever and wherever his heart might be,
Yeah.
he was also a little sad.
Aw.
It was time.
Yeah.
Time for them to move on.
Yeah, he's just doing his job.
The next one would be part 3.
I definitely like the change of animation and art style.
Yeah,
I mean, the simple colors definitely work too.
indeed.
It is
Oh, there's a
always here,
peanut.
the door into the hereafter,
Oh,
but no one living ever notices.
gate to heaven.
There is no angel chorus heralding the entrance. It is neither gleaming nor made of pearl. Rather, it is a lonely row of hedges with a modest wooden gateway, just low enough that even the greatest men must enter with heads bowed. Many are they who have entered with nasty bumps on their sides.
Ah, tall.
Here the three travellers stood and pondered what ought to be said. This would normally be when Death wished his companions well and gave them some idea of what to expect on the other side. But his throat felt curiously lumpy now.
Oh.
Elsie took Death's skeletal hand and patted it gently.
Aww.
"All right," she said with wisdom beyond
Aw.
her few years. Before Death could reply,
She's wise after her
the
few
gate
years of being
began to
alive.
open. The entrance swelled to the size just
Whoa.
large enough for a humble circus elephant. From
Aww.
within came a hum that only the right sort of person or creature could understand. To Elsie, it was someone calling her name. To Barkus, the distant trumpeting of his kind.
Aww.
To Death,
Wow.
it was nothing but
Nothing.
empty air. "They're waiting for you," he said, and then, "Mind your heads!" But Elsie and Barkus were already passing
Aww.
Yeah.
through. Soon the gateway was small again. Its little wooden door then closed with an abrupt thud.
Okay.
Oh.
Said Death.
Well, it's his job after all.
This was as it should be. It was his job after all, and now it was time to move on.
Yeah.
But just as he turned around, something light and papery fell from
Aw.
the ground and landed
Another
between
red
his feet.
leaf.
It seemed to the Reaper as if it were intended for him.
Aww.
"Thank you," said Death to nobody.
Hmm.
It was only a leaf, just a dried up, crinkly thing. It
Aww.
looked very fine, tied to his side with a stray bit of thread from his cloak.
Aww.
One day, if you're lucky, or if you're not, you'll see it for yourself.
Yeah.
Now, how was that?
That was interesting.
Also, ever heard of the Pied Piper?
Yeah.
Well, there's one in the Mexican that they drew.
Is that right?
Yeah. It'll be the last one.
Okay. Alright, this will be the last one, guys. El Depacha. These graves have walked the earth. Oh. Okay. I like this. It's like those very old films.
Yeah. Only music. Oh. My granddaughter will help your village. She danced in her mother's womb. Dancing the god, she's the devil. She will dance your dead back to the grave.
Okay.
But will not dance
This is her
without
rule,
pay.
not mine.
Yeah.
I suggest you basically pay up.
Yeah. Just like the Pied Piper.
Yeah. You don't want to have karma.
Yeah. Oh, this gets really cool.
Oh,
It's time.
here we go. Whoa! Whoa.
Instead of the Pied Piper using its flute, she uses dancing.
That's pretty cool. And
Oh, look.
zombies? So, it's basically zombies.
Yeah, instead of rats.
Okay, that's clever.
But look, they're attracted by the dance and the music of our tambourine.
That's weird. Leading them away. I like how one has no arms. Reminds me of Bob. You know,
Yeah.
that creepypasta monster?
I know. Oh, watch this. She's actually floating. Oh, down go the zombies.
Well, that's one way to deal with them.
Yep. And the job is done.
You know the deal.
Yep, pay up. Dear Lagoon, for saving me, we'll pay you with our gratitude.
She's at... Basically, it's the money, of course.
Run along. We have nothing to give you, I said. Oh. You know what that means.
Yep.
She's calling the zombies back. Basically, if you don't have a payment, you get the trouble back. See?
That little smirk. Ay, Tirawa. Wow. The music was pretty good too.
Yeah. And when you think of those episodes,
They're pretty impressive. I mean, I like the art style. I like the story narrations a bit.
can you imagine it's like almost like 10 to 7 years old?
I
And
know.
it's still good.
Yeah.
Anyway, please subscribe to Katy Towell for these amazing animation and narrating.
I will
Please
put a
give
link
me
in the
the-
description where you guys can check it out for yourselves.
Yeah. Also, please like and subscribe. Please write in the comments down below. And please watch us also on our DeviantArt page. Will be
Yeah.
linked in the description down below as well.
Yep. Well, we'll see you all later. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.